Muri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare ipo pano paZimu News update apo patiri kuya kuona kupakurire kuti gakava ratanga manje mubato reZANU-PF apo patiri kuona Temba Muliswa ari kuzama kuda kutora chigaro chaJoji Charamba because tiri kuona kuti ari kupomedzera Joji Charamba kuti ari kukurudzira Vice President Constantino Chiwenga sei pari kuataka president pari kuatakwa president Emmerson Mnangagwa havasi kuatakwa president Emmerson Mnangagwa vari kuudzwa chokwadi naVP Chiwenga kuti tingade tadai nekudai hakusi kuataka iye ndiye ari kuataka Vice President Constantino Chiwenga sezvo tiri kuziva kuti mazuva ano akamira kubudikidza nemilitary yakataura kuti no zvinhu zvauri kuita izvi hazviratidzi hunhu kuti unge uchiataka Severian ringe richiataka the second secretary webato reZANU-PF vanova vari Vice President Constantino Chiwenga. So hondo iripo yapakati paJoji Charamba naTemba Muliswa apo patiri kuona Temba Muliswa akutotonga ndiye spokesperson waPresident Emmerson Mnangagwa because ari kutotaura kuti iwe Joji Charamba ndiwe waifanira kunge kuvhika Mnangagwa but now iwewe ndo uri kutowaruwerera because tiri kuona kuti nemavidheos akazoiswa ayaya ana Ramaphosa vari kunzwa vari kuita vakaita corruption kufalafala vachiita sei chichi chimwe zvinhu zvakasiyana-siyana Joji Charamba akamaisa futi so zvakutonga sort of like ari kuside one agara ari kuside one naVP Chiwenga zvakutonga sort of like ari kuside one so tiri kuona kuti ruzhinji ruri kutaura kutoti no hakuna zvinhu zvakadaro Temba Muliswa gara ikoko because waitaura kudhara iwewe utori against President Emmerson Mnangagwa now nekuti uri kurarama ana Temba Muliswa now ari kuwana mari kubva kuna Kudata Gwere ari kuwana mari kubva kuna Scott Sakupkanya so ari kunyasa kuona kuti maburi akavharwa ka zvinenge zvadhakwa muri yeZimbabwe ende zvinoda kutodhakwa sa anofanira kutodefenda kutoti no zvinhu zvirambe zvakadini zvinhu zvirambe zvakadaro uye ari kuda kugara anga kuda kumbozama Tino Machakaire but Tino Machakaire hazviiti because nezera rake manje kuti aite Minister of Youth hazviite now akuataka Joji Charamba akuda kuita spokesperson waPresident Emmerson Mnangagwa so ngatinzwe mayouth ari pano vachitaura nhau dzavari kutaura muri yeZimbabwe nemakomrade vachiona kuti nhau yaTemba Muliswa vanoionawo sei but kana uri mutsva usabva nosina kusubscribe kulike nekushare.
Thank you for that. Actually, thank you for that presentation. What I just want a quick feedback to you. I think you probably might be biased as I think you confessed to Temba Muliswa. I think he's done good in your constituency before. And I think from what you talked about Billy Rottenberg, I think he did a good thing. So yes, I think you did a good thing then, but obviously I think you also need to look, say if you were on the other side now. What I was saying in terms of the information that he reveals, the challenges that he makes unabated and, unchallenged, I just feel good. Yes, you wakota kuti anzati CIO is now, what is it, Emako or whatever it is happening. Temba will have that inside information, which, I mean, how he gets it, how it is. He is inside, right? Arimom katimomo. But then also, I think of it if you're on the other side, Kuti. Some of the information then that he gets out in the public and some of the challenges that he gives, for example, I was saying, I'm not even a fan of, say, VP Chiwenga, but if he is going to challenge the vice president of the country openly, and even if he goes, I think Mataura Nyaema, Rolls Royce, I think in your wedding, I don't know if that is confirmed or Kudishagato Itigere, but I think I've heard that story of my 6 Maybachs, 100,000 cash or something, 50,000 cash. You might not have confirmed it. Maybe it happened. All those things. But my point in mentioning that was to say the position that VP Chiwenga holds. These things, I don't think they should be thrown willy-nilly in the public. Unless you know what, you win this, you lose this. But I just feel with the position. I'm not talking of an individual. I'm talking of his position that he holds, just like the president. We are always saying, president, as much as he is his own person, people like Anna Wikino should not be just, accessing him willy-nilly, he's then the Arpalas, red carpet, my son, I'll see you in Geneva, that kind of thing whereby his office needs to be respected. So that's where I was talking about to say, But Temba, should he not be respecting more the office of the vice president in terms of revealing whatever he knows, whatever knows through CIO, because it's clear he knows a lot of information. So I hope you know where I'm coming from.
No, I understand. I understand, Move Titus. Let me draw you back a little bit, just to show you how powerful Temba was or is. Now, this is a matter of publicly available information. When Parents Shiri was about to breathe his last, it is recorded that the last person he tried to contact was Temba Mliswa. Yeah,
Okay.
this is available public information.
Mhm.
So it to me, if I were to extrapolate from that, it would show me that he has been close to the corridors of power, or the people who have had power, or the levers of power. That's my take from that. So if he has been in their company, because we need to understand that when people drink whiskey, for those who drink whiskey, and don't get me wrong, I'm teetotal. I have nothing against those that drink. When people drink whiskey, there comes a time when that whiskey really tastes good, and the tongue has a tendency of letting, of being loose, and I'm sure when you are in safe company and you say this is a safe space, things are said and things are revealed. I totally agree with you. Every office has to be respected, but like I said in my presentation, and let me reiterate, we have weak structures. That's why our offices are not respected. Because if there were proper structures, you wouldn't have Mike Chimombe one day going into the State House wearing ripped jeans, and the next day he's in Chikurubi. That access, that open door access, is because of weak structures. There should be, gatekeepers who say this doesn't happen. This character doesn't come in. Even simple security vetting would tell you that these are characters of questionable. These are people of questionable characters. They shouldn't be anywhere near this office, let alone who is on that throne. Let alone my misgivings about President Mnangagwa. If we had proper structures that respected the office, then there would be ways and means of stopping those things happen. This is the reason why, regardless of Chivayo having been close to the Mugabe family, you don't see any many pictures of Wicknow with the late President Mugabe. You will see him with Grace Mugabe. You will see him with Chatunga, and you see him with Robert. But you will not see. I think there is one publicly available photo of Chivayo. I stand corrected, with the late President Mugabe. That does not mean they were not in cahoots or they were not close. All it means is they respected the office. They looked for other avenues and other places where they could meet and do their thing. The vice president has drawn scrutiny to himself by painting the picture of speaking for the weak. Now, it's very difficult for him to be able to speak for the weak
Mhm.
when we can remind him of what the army did in
All
Chiazra.
right.
It's very difficult for him to speak for the weak when we can remind him about what happened in the DRC.
Okay.
It's very difficult for him to come as the Messiah, as the Savior of the day, when we can remind him of how he got all his wealth that was revealed in his very own divorce.
Wrong.
So when you start to play with those things now, what you are now then doing is you got to be clean.
Okay.
You can't be, you know.
Okay.
Um,
No, that's quite interesting. Then maybe the last question to you. So can somebody
yeah.
not actually change? You remember Geza, whether I believed him or not. I did.
Yeah.
He was talking about change and how people can actually realize, their mistakes and go with the people and be empathic to the people to say kuti vanhu varapa. Saka muri kuti izvo hypocrisy here kuna Chiwenga pamwe he has seen the light and he has seen the mistakes.
That's a very good question, Mof Titus. Here lies in the problem with that, the foundation of your question. If he has seen the light and he sits amongst them, I'm not a I'm not a Bible person, but I'll tell you one verse I know. It says, two cannot walk the same journey if they are not in agreement. Yeah. If he wants to be the voice of reason within ZANU PF, he has to publicly declare it within his party that I have seen the light, and the way we are going, just like today, Mof Titus, we have West Streeting who is about to challenge Keir Starmer, and he is going to do what? The first thing he needs to do before he challenge is to resign. That's what honor is all about. People do change, not very many change, but for the right price, people change very quickly. So if he wants to say, I have seen the light, and the path that we have been trading all along is the wrong one, that's well and good. But he can then not do it from the comfort of the same party and the same group of people who he does not agree with the way that they're doing things. This belief of a renewal within ZANU PF is nothing but a fallacy. That will not happen.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think it's right. We agree. Go on.
No, I mean, I was listening to Mkoma Seven. You're making quite, important points, good points. But you see, when it comes to Temba Muliswa, I understand, what you're talking about. You said Gudizo is a person who has always been close to to power.
Yeah.
But being close to power can make one behave in certain ways.
Yeah.
Temba Muliswa, right now, when you're close to power, numati azvida asi munhu ningwe ati anzisiyewo yayechi because he understands the game.
Yes.
That is how he has survived. He himself. That is how he has survived. Through makuwa. Ndosaka paine informal proximity. You use makuwa to cement your position.
Yes.
And when you use makuwa to cement your position, and you witness developments achitika in a way that favor you or that keeps you in that position, then you're going to walk away with the mentality of good informal proximity is more powerful than formal authority. And that is what he's riding on. And when he then puts himself in a position of wanting to do whatever it is that he's doing, he now believes Kutizo is being protected by a faction or a network. He has got people, he believes Kuti has got people that are backing him. He believes Kuti the attacks that he's doing are serving a purpose. And he knows Kutizo he will not be punished for doing what he's doing because he knows the strength of their alliance and the strength of their network. And this is what makes him put himself in a position of being a gatekeeper.
Yes.
But now, when he behaves like a marauding hound dogs, there's one thing that forces a person like Temba Muliswa to behave like that. And that thing is succession anxiety. It is so crucial because Temba Muliswa is a person who depends on handouts.
Yeah.
His survival is based on being given money by the likes of Chobvira, vanaskodisa kupwanya.
Yeah.
Animonzwa. Saka, when you see that position being threatened, you're bound, to take action. When you see that the future is now uncertain, you are bound to take action. When you see Kutizo Nima alliances, I can't going to shift on what I'm saying. You are bound to occupy a certain position.
Naturally, yes.
Yes, that right there, it becomes a situation whereby what Themba Mliswa is doing is cultivating a higher level of loyalty, because that right there becomes his currency. So his survival is dependent, on that.
Yeah.
So his behavior, right? We might want to describe it in so many ways, but his behavior is personal. It is personal on one hand, and then it is also structural on the other hand, because he is a product of a system. And that system is now entering a volatile phase, such that he's seeing himself as being threatened by that, by whatever it is that is coming. He's now feeling that there's a certain political culture that is now emanating, or that is now making itself, out there, in the open, such that for you to cultivate whatever it is that you need to cultivate, given the experiences that we've had as a people, he ends up believing that confrontation is the only way to go, because it sends internal messages. So when he confronts George Charamba and challenges him to a duel, or even Zumboko Masbakera, he knows good. He knows good. He's sending an internal message. And more. So when we look at that individual, Van Vagadaro, they've got only one thing that they consider. First and foremost. It is their stomach.
Absolutely.
It is their survival.
Absolutely.
But can we afford to have such individuals to be the kingmakers in the land?
No, definitely not.
He has already alluded to the fact that some of those kids are not his.
Are not his. Like I know, we excuse him on that. But he said he would keep them. So anyway, kudos to him.
Yeah. So what he is doing, Themba Mliswa, is merely performing power. And performer power. Even though he does not have, the power.
Yeah.
He is performing power.
Now,
by wanting to be seen as close, wanting to be seen to, or wanting to be feared as somebody who's influential in being somebody what no recognize as a player in the grand scheme of the.
Yeah.
Ayuwaka is on Mount Everest.
You are right, and I can't disagree much. He who pays the piper chooses the music. And like I said, I agree with you totally. Every single person has a price. But I'm not trying to negate the previous points. We also have in that light to speak to the topic that says parallel power centers, what the Charamba Mliswa feud reveal. So let me bring in Charamba into this equation. So the interface rallies come and go. They come with nothing but kunyadziswa kwa Charamba when he was called by Munwese kuna Mama Grace. And at that particular point, the tables are almost turning for Charamba. He has served Mugabe, and it's probably time to go with him. And he had already started to intimate that he might, go to the farm and rematch Bage and wheat and whatever, and forge and a whole lot of other things. And it so happens that then November 27 happens. Precisely November the 15th, when we had the Asante Sana speech. Let me take you back, Uncle. General Chiwenga is sitting there. Parents Shiri is sitting there. Paradise Mondi is sitting there. And I think DG Bonyongwe is sitting next to them. Obviously, DG Bonyongwe is on the Mugabe side, and he has gone. He saved the old man, and he's in good books with the old man. But for Mugabe to say on that very night, I will resign, as we all anticipated, the world and the dark blue sea, we were all waiting for that. It did not come because George Charamba had come into this is publicly available information. It's not inside information. If you like reading, you will know this story. George Charamba had come into some intelligence to say, if Mugabe makes that announcement on the night of the 15th of November, this thing that you are calling a recalibration and you're calling it a coup, that's not a coup, becomes a full coup because all the generals are sitting next to Mugabe, so he might have been forced to say these things. Hence, he did not resign on that night. Why? Because George Charamba had said something into ED's ear, had said something into Chiwenga's ear, and Chiwenga, against,
akatora mapepa akaisa pasi pecheya.
akaisa pasi pecheya. That was the right speech yekuti Mdarati dakubaya. Yeah, but Charamba was the kingmaker on that particular night because he had been straddling both camps. He had been in the meetings that Mugabe had held with Father Mkonori and the intermediaries who had been sent.
You seem to have been following my brother, Seven. You seem quite close to this.
No, I'm not. I just like to read.
I would have spoken if I understand.
Yeah. So George Charamba then, in that particular night, from that night, he turned kingmaker, and he got the respect of Chiwenga. He got the respect of everybody else who wanted Mdara to go, but to go in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
So things are then put in motion of how Mdara can go now. They're now negotiating with him. Long before we have this ding-dong about impeachment and what.
Oh, yes.
People like to paint a different picture. But
that was choreographed as well.
Absolutely. People behind know what was going on, but it's fine. For the sake of this conversation, let's move on from that. So Charamba is now very powerful, and if you check from that time onwards, he would say whatever he wanted to say without any challenge. But as with everything, nothing good or bad lasts forever. Things do move very quickly, especially in the Zimbabwean politics, in the Zimbabwean context. And people who have been funding, the 2017 night in question, Kudata Gwire, does not want to stay in the shadows forever. They want to be seen now because it's for the taking. They want part of the cake and eat it as well. Because they've put their money, they've put their hard stolen money into the equation. So Charamba, can also, instead of being a proponent for change, he has also done this. The point I'm trying to make, Uncle Jed, is to say he has also done it for his own stomach. Because prior to that night, he had even started contemplating going to do something else. But now the tables have changed. He's now in favor. He carries favor with number one. What is his problem? But because we do not have strong institutions, our institutions it's either you are ZANU or you are ZANU. And once you are ZANU, you then don't know where your job description begins from and ends. This is the reason why Charamba, if you ask him when he writes whatever he writes, ask him, are you on your lunch break or are you in the office? Not that I'm saying he wastes government time or government
No, it
money.
does.
Yeah, but the truth of the matter is he does. He does. So that right there then begins to speak to us to say we don't only have dangerous characters like Temba. Temba is at least a dangerous character who is outside the day-to-day running of the country.
Mhm.
Charamba is a dangerous character who is right at the thick of things. No, not only to my small. He is right at the center of it. So
So are you saying with this what Temba is right to have a go at him because given the position that Charamba has, a
yeah,
person who's supposed to be the presidential spokesperson or the team that speaks for the president, and given everything that is being said about the president, he's supposed to be saying something. But doesn't that take him outside of his mandate?
which mandate now for being the presidential spokesperson?
No, for speaking, against everything, that is going, on out there.
Yeah, but
Because I want to believe that yes, there are things, that he can speak to.
yeah,
There are certain aspects, that he can comment on, but
yeah,
there are other things that he has to take a step back.
absolutely, absolutely.
But the
Communication.
chamber is expecting him
Yeah.
to be all out.
Mm.
Yeah, but you're right, Uncle.
Mm.
I hear where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But is he now taking a lesson or lessons from Temba to say
No, no,
this is
no.
how?
He's not taking a lesson from Temba, but he's putting Temba in his place.
That's what he's
He's
trying
saying,
to do. Yeah.
look, this was a private, engagement.
Yeah,
I didn't need, to be there. But why are you putting me, on the spot over a
yeah.
private engagement that is outside of what I'm mandated, to do by the terms and conditions of my office.
I think the problem is Temba is close to the premier
Yeah, because Temba's
because
role
he.
is informal, his is formal.
Mm,
But Temba,
mm.
he thinks everyone must be playing that informal role.
Okay, let me paint another scenario, Uncle.
Right, go on.
If Temba writes a thread, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
with 20 pages attacking Charamba,
Mm-hmm.
and Charamba chooses not to take the bait, what do you think happens? He doesn't respond to that. He
Yeah.
doesn't speak to the matters that Temba
I think it makes him a
raises.
bigger person, though.
Exactly. So he is. We choose our battles, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
Vice President did that. He was attacked by Temba. He didn't respond to it.
absolutely, and even Idi Mnangagwa was attacked for 10 consecutive interface rallies, and he was eating ice cream, and they were attacking him.
But Panyani Chiwenga, did you want Chiwenga to ask Chivayo the source of his money that he was visiting as in Ichipo on the birthday? I mean on the wedding.
Uncle, Uncle, there are certain things. That's why I said.
But in any there's information that I know about that one. I will not say it now, but
Yeah,
but there's information that I know about that one about
yeah,
50,000.
yeah,
But in terms of the Rolls Royces,
yeah,
that happened, and Nenya Guti, people wanted it to make flambeau, and stuff like that.
yeah.
And he had to, but in terms of the 50,000, there's something
What?
that then happened with the
Sorry
50,000.
to interrupt, uncles.
All right, go on.
One thing that I believe, I might be wrong, Uncle. I think this is what I think, and please feel free to dismiss it. I think people like Wicknell, I'm not so sure about Chagwira. I think Tempter is starting slowly now. I think they are now being handled by certain people who are drip feeding things to say. Ask me why I'm saying that. So when Chivayo went to Patsani, you should listen to what someone doesn't say, not what they say. What they don't say is more important. He at no point mentioned the VP. He said, amai Chiwenga vakati vari kuda kukwira muRolls Royce pamuchato wavo. Am I right?
Yeah, ndozvakataura.
Yeah. So he has not brought the VP into disrepute. But VP havasi kuchata vega, vari kuchata namai Chiwenga. You understand? So we need to be very clear of what we are saying. If he throws that name and he then says, mai Chiwenga ndo vakati vari kuda mota, it means kuti saka VP vaigoti chii zvavo. That's a very clever way of saying I did it for my Chiwenga. But the truth of the matter is the husband is sitting in a very high office where he is constantly talking now. Well, that was before he started talking about Gananda. Had he said about Gananda? I can't remember. I don't think so. But at that point, he was receiving things from Gananda. And later on, he then says, but you're a beneficiary of these questionable incomes or sources of funds. But who are we to judge? The truth of the matter is, as a people, we just need to stand on what we believe in. I think they are equally as bad as each other, and it's about time that we just make it clear to them that we wouldn't mind for them to
I think it's been really good to hear from your side, Special Seven.
No,
I think you had some interesting input there, and your revelations of what you know as well. So quite interesting. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Just one question. Just one question before Mukoma Special 7 go.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mukoma, you talk about the issue of VP questioned about corruption. But if you look at Themba Mliswa, he was the first. Rewind your mind during his time in the parliament.
He even accused Emerson Mnangagwa to be the godfather.
Yes.
And he's the person that is defending with his own